Welcome back to the 9 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate. Tonight, we are going to put the focus once again on the spike in COVID cases across the country. Let's first start with what's happening in India as far as the third wave is concerned. Here are the cases recorded nationwide in the last 5 days. A look at this graph gives an idea of where we are heading from here on. In fact, on 31st of December, we had 22,775 cases. 1st of January, the number increased to 27,553, then 33,750, then 37,379, and on 4th of January, in just 24 hours, India has reported 58,097 cases. Just look at that sharp spike that has gone up there. Today, India has recorded its first death in an Omicron patient, the person who was infected with Omicron variant, after the samples of a man in Rajasthan's Udaipur who died last week showed the presence of this variant of concern. He died due to post-COVID pneumonia coupled with comorbidities. What's even more shocking today is the daily spike in cases in major metros. While Mumbai has recorded a massive 15,166 cases in a day, Delhi has reported 10,665 cases. Now, this is double of what we saw in Delhi yesterday. And remember what Mumbai Mayor said yesterday, that if in Mumbai, daily case count breaches 20,000, then be prepared for a lockdown. That's something that they are going to be considering. This is how the numbers look like in Delhi. 30th of December, 3671. And now the number has gone up to 15,166. So that's the COVID tracker that we have for you for the metros in the country. And if we consider the 4 metros where there has been a massive spike in COVID cases, here is what it looks like. Delhi, 10,665 cases in one day, which is 94% increase in 24 hours. If you look at Mumbai, 15,166 cases in a single day, which is equivalent to close to 40% increase in the cases in 24 hours. Bengaluru, 3,605 cases have been reported today, which is a jump of about 18.27% in just 24 hours. The story of Chennai is no different. The case count might be lower, but the percentage increase in COVID cases is alarming. 2,481 cases reported in Chennai, a spike of about 6.7% in just 24 hours. Now, the Health Ministry, viewers, has updated the guidelines for home isolations. Patients under home isolation will be able to end their isolation after at least 7 days of testing positive, and if they've had no fever for 3 successive days. Now, this as opposed to 10 days, that was the guideline earlier. So here are the revised guidelines, and these are very, very important for you. You need to continue wearing your masks. There's no need for retesting after home isolation is over. So that's a change that has come in. Asymptomatic contacts do not need to get themselves tested again. This is the new guideline of the center. Asymptomatic contacts to monitor their health in home quarantine. In fact, earlier today, the Health Ministry in a briefing also said that Omicron variant is predominant COVID strain in most cities. Average hospitalization rate is 4 to 5% now versus 20% that we saw in the second wave. Current R factor is 2.69. Acceleration of cases is huge, so we need to be really concerned. We need not panic, but we need to take all precautions. Booster dose must be the same vaccine given before. So tonight, I want to discuss various aspects of what's happening in the country so that you are prepared. How do we tackle this rapid spike in cases? You can call us. If you have any questions, you can ask us. And if you have some views to share, please call us on the numbers flashing at the bottom of your screens. We will be getting those those questions answered with a panel of experts joining us on the broadcast this evening. Dr. Vishal Rao, member Karnataka COVID Task Force, also Dean Center for Academic Research, HCG Cancer Center, and member of Genomic Surveillance Committee, live with us. Dr. Arun Gupta, President, Delhi Medical Council, joining us on the broadcast this evening. Dr. Harish, Senior Consultant, Pulmonology and Critical Care at Global Hospital, Mumbai, and Professor Dr. M.C. Mishra, former Director of AIIMS, New Delhi, and current President and Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University of Medical Sciences and Technology. Thank you very much, all of you gentlemen, for joining us here on Mirror Now. Dr. Mishra, let me begin the discussion with you. How alarmed are you by seeing the spike in COVID cases in the 4 metros specifically? For example, in Mumbai, now it's over 15,000 cases that we've seen. In Delhi, from about 5,000 yesterday, the tally has jumped to over 10,000.
You have asked me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, look, this was quite anticipated. This is nothing surprising. And it should not surprise anyone. When US can log in 1 million infections in 24 hours, in 4 days, from 600,000 to 1 million, India, looking at our density of population in urban areas, looking at the COVID appropriate behavior in these densely populated areas or densely populated marketplaces, public transports, it is not surprising. What we should be more concerned that people with comorbidities, people who have not been vaccinated, if they get exposed to even this virus, which is supposed to be, Omicron is supposed to be milder, causing milder disease, it is not causing the deeper pneumonia in the lower respiratory tract or lungs. And only, as you informed, that first death has been reported from Udaipur, and that was a person with comorbidities. So I think that is where we have to put our focus on the people who are vulnerable. 60 years plus with comorbidities, 45 years plus with comorbidities, people who are suffering from cancer on various kinds of cancer therapies, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, people who have undergone transplants of various organs, liver, kidneys, and others, or they are taking steroids for various disorders, autoimmune disorders or bronchial asthma. I think that this group, vulnerable group, needs to be protected, and we must, and that is what you are doing through your channel just now, creating this awareness. Although this it is causing milder disease in most people, and those who are admitted to hospital also, majority of them have mild symptoms, and that is why the guidelines have been changed. The quarantine period, like CDC, has reduced to 5 days. And if you have been afebrile for 3 days continuously, you can go back to work. Those who are come in contact with such an individual who carried the virus, they must use mask, and they can continue as usual, taking all these COVID appropriate measures. And there is no need for retesting to declare yourself negative or that sort, because CDC has amply said that this test, RT-PCR test, does not distinguish between the common influenza and the coronavirus. And that's why they have now abandoned this test, and they say it is available everywhere in commercially. So CDC, what it provided the kits in the beginning of the pandemic, so that our National Institute of Virology. So now the testing capability has been increased in India also. And that is something we must appreciate. And in India, to contain this virus, and virus can't be contained, and as we all know that, it does not respect any geographic boundary or human boundary. The use of mask is primarily to prevent infection, and also if even if you contract the illness, it will be milder illness. We must prevent ourselves going to the mass gatherings, the marriage ceremonies and other parties in the indoors, because it's a highly infectious. We all know that by now. There are good aspects that it is not as invasive in the lower respiratory tract. So we must take advantage of this virus to protect ourselves for future, because this is today it is Omicron, tomorrow it will be some other variant, and these variants will keep coming. It is not the end of it. So this is
we need to learn to live with it, but you have once again repeated. Yes, but you've repeated something very, very important, and that is that, you know, it's a milder illness. It's causing milder illness, but yet it seems, Dr. Harish, that there is panic among people. The idea of us doing this show is to make people aware of what the situation is, what the protocol is, what can they do if they feel they have symptoms of Omicron variant specifically. You know, in Mumbai, the hospitalization rate, I believe, has gone up sharply.
So actually in Mumbai, what is happening is as Omicron is spreading very widely, and you know how many cases are coming per day now. So there is definitely a panic button pressed by the public basically. All those who get symptoms and they have previous experience of COVID-19 infection in their family members or neighbors, or they have seen that it being worse in the last second wave, they are trying to come to the hospital early because they are worried that there is a fever spike. And most of the patients, they are worried for their family members. They don't want it to go to their families. And I have seen in many patients that they come to the hospital just because they don't want it to get spread in their families. So they come to the hospital with fever spike and they want to get admitted. But having said this, the admission has to be done only to symptomatic patients, and asymptomatic coming with a positive report has to be denied for the admission and can be taken care at home only. But I think this rapidity of spread, as was expected, and Dr. Misra rightly said that Omicron variant is known to spread rapidly, and that is how it is happening. So if we keep our guards intact, if we keep using the mask in an appropriate manner, above the nose, below the chin, not lowering it, not touching the mask very frequently while you are touching the surface which can be infected. So I think we can still getting prevented with Omicron strain, or any strain for that matter comes in this COVID-19 pandemic for now or in the future. But definitely there is a word of caution, I would say, that we should try and use COVID appropriate behavior so that the number of cases don't keep on rising like this. Good thing is still it is a milder form. The only thing is the people who are immunosuppressed above 60 with comorbidities or on steroids or any other immunosuppressant medications can have a serious effect of this. That's why I think everyone should take care that this variant should not go to a person who will be in a serious form, who will manifest in a serious form, will land up in the ICU and cause troubles. So that's how I think these night curfews and other things are coming up, so that the gatherings basically, particularly gatherings in the places, the public gatherings are the places where this spreads very rapidly, because people don't take appropriate precautions, they don't follow COVID appropriate behavior. Social distancing, you know how much is the density of population in Mumbai. So social distancing for that matter is definitely very difficult to practice in Mumbai. So definitely if you stop going into gatherings, stop coming out of home unnecessarily, then I think we can curb the further spread of this variant.
Okay, Dr. Arun Gupta, what is the kind of trend that you are seeing in Delhi? Are you seeing a rise in, hospitalization rate in Delhi too? Because in Mumbai, clearly we can see that there's panic among patients, even though they have mild symptoms, they want to get admitted because they don't want to probably infect other family members.
I think that is a very, very pertinent question. The trend in Delhi is no different from any other metro, in fact, any other city in the world. But the thing is that most of the patients are very, very mild, and there's no need to panic. There's no need to admission. But I would like to address those patients, 98 to 99% patients are still at home. So first of all, important, they must not panic. The person who is positive and symptomatic must isolate himself or herself in a well-ventilated room. So most important is no self-medication, please. No self-medication, no need of any blood test, and no need of X-ray or CT scan unless advised by a doctor specifically. That is very important. People are rushing for medicine, X, Y, Z, all those things. Secondly, you need to keep very close watch on your health. You need to watch out for certain signs of deterioration. In that case, you need to consult a doctor, or maybe then only you can rush to a doctor, rush to a hospital. First thing, your fever persists for more than 100 degrees for 3 consecutive days. Secondly, if your oxygen saturation on room air goes below 93%, 3 readings within an hour. Third thing, if your respiratory rate goes more than 24 per minute, you have a chest pain, you're feeling drowsy or something. These are the signs where you need to panic and you need to consult your doctor or go to hospital. Otherwise, all cases can be very well managed at home. The Omicron virus supposedly is very, very mild, as we have seen. We are getting very less number of severe cases. Number of cases rising rapidly in Delhi also, but proportionate number of rise in hospitals not that much. So we are very, very confident, and almost 99 to 98% beds are still vacant in Delhi. So that is very important. If you are at home, please do not panic.
Okay.
No, do not self-medicate yourself. Yes.
Okay, if you're at home, do not panic. Dr. Vishal Rao, we have a viewer, in fact, joining us on the broadcast, and I will like you to address his concern. We have Sanjeev joining us from Indore this evening. Sanjeev, good evening. Any question that you have, or what is it that you want to say?
Yeah, ma'am. Please give me 1 minute because I want to ask you pertinent questions. First of all, good afternoon, good evening to all the panelists. The fact of the matter is that Omicron is although it's a mild infection variant, but the fact of the matter is in the last infection, Delta also, the virus mutates when there is a lot of infection cases are found. So it is very pertinent to know that since it will be a tsunami. Look, one thing is there in USA yesterday there were 10 lakh cases in single day. So although the hospitalization will be less, but the thing is it is a voluminous infection. So when you will compare, even our medical infrastructure is not that much upgraded. If suppose tomorrow we will have now see the daily train, it is increasing multifold, and above all, the number of testing which we are doing is very less. Sir, my question is that seeing the voluminous infection spread of it, the chances of getting a new variant. Secondly, we have lots of comorbidity individuals in India. And unfortunately, Indian government is very lethargic to open the booster shot. Now for that comorbidity individuals, they are very vulnerable to any sort of infection.
How to
even
protect
for the
people who have comorbidities? Sanjeev, you have raised very, very important points. Let Dr. Vishal Rao respond to the concerns that you raised. Dr. Vishal Rao, first about the chance of getting a new variant, because, one thing he said was correct, because if you look at the second wave also, it was the sheer number of cases that we saw that our health infrastructure couldn't handle, and hence the situation became so difficult because so many people died because they couldn't even reach the hospital. Many couldn't find a hospital bed.
Thank you, Ina. I think Sanjeev raised some very pertinent questions, comments, and he had answers within his own questions, very rightly put in that. Now, what I would like to reiterate here is to Sanjeev that 2019 December, we saw the debut of the D614G Wuhan strain that first came up. In December 2020, we picked up the Delta variant of concern. In December 2021, we've picked up the Omicron. And every passing year, the virus is making its newer version, like a mobile phone, better with more features, more spike mutations, stronger. Now, the virus is, on one hand, making all efforts to make itself stronger towards transmission, towards virulence, and towards vaccine escape mutation. But this seems to be like a race between the vaccine and the variants, where the vaccination in India seems to be winning more than the variant. So at this juncture, we have the assurance from data from South Africa, which showed that compared to Delta, which had 25% deaths or ICU admissions, Omicron had only 5. Now, like you rightly pointed out, this is still good enough to overwhelm the system, which is something we all are cognizant about, and healthcare workers, healthcare experts all sitting here would be cognizant and more than ever, because 2 years went by only working. So we are very much cognizant and worried about it, and so are governments. Now, at this juncture, this race between the virus and the vaccine variants and the vaccination and the variants will continue. At this point in time, what we need to be cautious is, if you learn from Delta in Karnataka, for example, May it was 0.5%. By end of April, it was 25%. It reached 50,000 new cases per day. Now, at this juncture, 17% needed oxygen, whereas in this case, maybe 4% will need oxygen, but it is still a staggering big number and it will overwhelm the system within no time. In Delta, it did in a month. In 1.5 months, it will do for Omicron. So there is no doubt about the fact that Omicron has the power to overwhelm the health system, and WHO, Dr. Tedros has reiterated this. So I think that is the reason why governments are stepping in to do social and to some extent economic curbs. And that is what we have to be very, very cautious about in the coming weeks.
So clearly now, people also need to follow the protocol. When we understand how this, this problem can be for our health infrastructure, we all need to follow the protocol properly. If guidelines are coming, we need to follow them. We need to wear our mask all the time. Stay with us, Dr. Vishal Rao. And there was another question on the issue of people with comorbidities, how to protect them. We'll get that answered in just a bit. We have another viewer joining us on the broadcast, Professor R.L. Goel from Kurukshetra. Good evening, Professor Goel. What is it that you would like to ask?
Yes, madam. Good evening to all the panelists and to you, madam. My question is, though the government pretends to be very serious in tackling this corona problem, but the way rallies are being allowed to be held and how huge gatherings are taking place, and when economic activities are in curtailed, why these experts can advise the government to at least put a ban on these rallies so that the fury which we witnessed during the second wave may not be replicated. We may not have to face the same kind of problem for want of oxygen and other medical necessities. So the government is playing with our life by allowing these rallies, and everybody is indifferent towards that. Nobody dares to criticize the government for playing with our life. This is our main concern, and we want. Moreover, another clarification that I want to seek is whether this spike in cases only due to Omicron or Delta variant is also rampant. Whether both variants are simultaneously invading our lives.
All right, Professor R.L. Goel, appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now, and two important points you've raised. I'll get those answered by our guest here. But another viewer live with us, Dr. Kishan from Bengaluru. Good evening, Dr. Kishan. What is your question?
Yeah, I think the gap between the second dose, and the booster dose must be reduced to 2 months or 3 months, because most people have got their second dose jab in June, July, and if we wait for 9 months, they'll get their booster dose in April, May, by which time the third wave would have come and gone. The whole idea is to get the booster dose before the third wave, not after the third wave.
Interesting point there, Dr. Kishan. Appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now. Let's begin with Dr. Harish. Will you like to first respond on the issue of, whether the gap between second dose and the booster dose can be reduced, as Dr. Kishan has suggested?
Yeah, so as actually we are all knowing, and this is very, very important, that vaccination is one of the things that is going to help prevent the serious form of infection in any coronavirus variant. And as we know, Omicron had come in a country where the vaccination rate was very low. It was below 7%. So definitely booster dose is important. I'm not saying no, but I think 2 doses are more important than what a booster can do. So still we are not reached a target where we can say that 2 doses in India have been completed to many people across. But so if we try to reduce the number of days basically for between the second dose and the booster dose, the availability of the vaccine and those who have still not received the second dose will be deprived of the second dose. So I would say second dose completion has to be there, and booster dose simultaneously can be going on. Booster dose is particularly important for elderlies. For healthcare workers, I would again stress out, because they are in the front line, they are coming in directly contact with the cases. This vaccination is going to prevent severe form of disease, as we all know. It is not going to prevent infection. So even if you are vaccinated, you can get infected. But the booster dose is going to prevent basically serious form of the disease.
Right.
So that's why booster dose should go on. I'm not saying no. But reducing the duration will create another problem of availability, and all those who are still not received a second dose.
So first vaccinate everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's your view. Professor Mishra, now on the issue of whether this spike is only due to Omicron or Delta is still very much there, how will you like to respond?
Yeah, it's a very pertinent question. And the way we are seeing the trajectory and also the severity of the illness, it seems to be that it is not Delta overwhelmed at this point of time. There may be Delta is still going on. It has not disappeared. But right now, the infections are overwhelmed by new variant, which is apparent from the severity of the illness, which is much milder as compared to Delta. We have not required large numbers of CT scans of the chest, large number of hospitalizations yet. Whosoever is in the hospital also is a preventive measure by the governments. And the worry of the patient because they don't want to infect their family members. As I was speaking to somebody from AIIMS Delhi just in the morning 2 hours ago, and they said they have almost 88 patients. And out of that, majority of them have milder illness and can go home actually for home quarantine. There's no patient in the ICU. So I think although it is early days for Indian trajectory for this Omicron, but if we learn from South African data also, the requirement of oxygen was also far less with Omicron as compared to Delta. Also, ICU admissions were less and almost 1.5% as opposed to 5 to 10% with Delta variant. So I think it's an important question, but I think the Sanjeev's question was that in case it infects large numbers, yes, that's a point in India always remain that even a small number can overwhelm our health system. That we all know it overwhelmed every system. Actually, even developed countries were overwhelmed. We saw Italy, we saw Spain, we saw UK, we saw USA. So no system can cope with unlimited number of patients. Whether it's and our health infrastructure has not been the best in the country, in the world, and it has a lot of loopholes, a lot of problems. So, but we managed it quite well. If you look at larger states like Uttar Pradesh with 24 crore population, the way they managed the whole pandemic, it's a role model for many countries also. Australian so even if the
symptoms are mild, we cannot let the numbers go up the way they are right now. So that is the reason why it's important for all of us to follow the protocols. Stay with us, Professor Mishra. We have 2 more questions left, but I have Nirmala now joining us from Bengaluru as well. Nirmala, good evening. What is it that you would like to ask?
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. My question is very simple. Hello? Can I ask my question, please? Yes. My question is about home quarantine.
Ma'am, go ahead.
Yes. If one member of the family is isolated in a room, I would like to know whether the person's clothes can be washed together in the same washing machine as the rest of the family members, or also about the plates and other things. Should be washed separately, not with others in the same kitchen. These are the things I have. To what extent the isolation means?
I think those are... Okay. What does isolation really mean? That's a very important point, ma'am, that you've raised. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. Dr. Arun Gupta, will you like to respond? What should be the right strategy if somebody in the house gets infected, is isolated? What should be done about that person's clothes, utensils that person is eating the food in?
I think there's a very, very pertinent question as 90 to 90% people at home only. There are clear-cut guidelines and they have been publicized everywhere by the government. Now, the person who is infected, who is positive, should be in a separate room, separate well-ventilated room, and all utensils and clothes and everything else has to be separated from the other member of the family, and they have to use separately. Other members who are catering for that person have to be in a separate room, and there should be no physical contact between the person who are there, who are the positive and other family members, and all the utensils, the cloth, everything has to be kept separately, washed separately, and the mask which is worn by the person who is positive should be discarded after 72 hours in a paper bag after cutting in many pieces, and this has to be discarded separately. So there has to be no physical contact, and all the surfaces touched by the members of the family, either those positive or negative, has to be cleaned at least twice a day by proper sterilization. That are the protocols have to be taken.
Okay. Dr. Vishal Rao, now on the issue of ways to protect people with comorbidities in a situation that we are in, how will you like to respond?
Hina, I think what we witnessed during the wave 1 and 2 was something for all of us to learn, that non-communicable diseases, which actually were the ones which were most vulnerable for COVID infections and caused the most amount of morbidity or mortality, were the ones most neglected, unfortunately. And this is something that we need to give a lot of emphasis on, that people with heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, renal disease, cancer, or any other non-communicable diseases actually stayed at home because they got scared to go to the hospitals and neglected their cases. We are seeing a whole big backlog over the last 6 months of cases which are coming more advanced, more complicated, and that's because of the fear, the anxiety that people had, and led to neglecting their non-communicable diseases. People with uncontrolled diabetes, people with heart diseases. It, though in between, looked like it had disappeared, and now there is a surge of these. What's most important at this juncture for viewers to understand and also communicate to their families is, if you have a member in the house who has a non-communicable diseases, please do not neglect it. Please use the services of telemedicine, teleconsultation, or take precautions and visit your doctor, but please do not assume and neglect these particular symptoms. I think that's the most important message that needs to be communicated, not to neglect non-communicable diseases, because it is this particular virus that is specifically targeting the non-communicable diseases. And they are the ones who are most vulnerable for vaccine as well as for your own care. So it's very, very important. And ICMR has repeatedly overemphasized on this to say, please do not neglect non-communicable diseases during this pandemic because of fear, because of misinformation. Take care of yourself.
Okay, and we hope that our viewers have got their answers as well. Nirmala ji, your question was simple, but it was very, very important. We really hope you've got the answer you were looking for. Dr. Harish, there was another question. In fact, a concern that was raised by Professor Goyal, who called us a short while ago, on, rallies that are still being allowed. As a doctor, what will you recommend? Because if there are curfews, restrictions for people, then why should rallies really be allowed? They can also become super spreaders, isn't it?
Absolutely. Rallies are definitely a super spreader, I would say. When we know that this variant is so highly infectious that if we want to cover entire India, 4 weeks also would be less to cover entire India. So as we all know, this is spreading in the mass gatherings. So rallies definitely should not be allowed. And because people, when they come in rallies, they forget using COVID appropriate behavior. They don't use mask appropriately. And as you know, these rallies are in a smaller places where social distancing is absolutely not possible. And people try to forget the primary thing, that they should take care of themselves first, because if the virus comes to them and then it spreads to an elderly who is there at home, then it can become a serious form. So social distancing has to be properly followed, and rallies, I think, should be avoided because this is the most common opportunity for the virus to spread rapidly.
Okay. Professor Mishra, I also want to understand from you, what should be the role of primary health centers or, say, for example, Mohalla clinics that we have in the national capital in helping us fight this pandemic? Because a lot of our doctors are currently infected as well in different parts of the country. And in second wave, we saw that everybody was rushing to get admitted in a big hospital. So what can be done?
Yeah, that's a very, very pertinent aspect of the whole pandemic, and particularly this third wave, if we can call it a third wave, that Mohalla clinics or primary physicians are vulnerable also to contract the illness from the patients who visit them. And that we saw in the first and second waves also. But their responsibility and their mandate should be to allay the unreasonable fear and panic amongst the patients. And as I do always, I reassure first that you will be fine. And you do this, you do that. So there are do's, there are don'ts, which they should be very clearly telling these individuals who come with history of fever or any sore throat or any body ache, myalgias, the muscle pain, etc. They should reassure them that they'll be fine.
Okay.
They need to take paracetamol, which is the safest medication to bring down fever. They should consume plenty of fluids. They should consume a lot of fresh fruits, fresh food. They should improve their immunity, whichever way they believe in. And I think take rest at home and isolate if possible, because in many families, they have one-room apartment with 4 members, 5 members, 6 members. So it is not always possible. We can say this sitting on these channels, but many families do not have that luxury of isolating in a single room. So they can at least put on masks. So even if they contract the illness, it will be milder illness. They'll be contracting. And good thing, again, I would reiterate for Omicron, so far, whatever we have known, it is causing milder illness. Even sore throat is not as much. When I have spoken to several people who developed fever, 103, 104 or 102,
yes.
But they didn't have.
So I'm just interrupting you there. Sorry for that. Yes, so we have 2 more viewers joining us. Let's take their questions as well. Captain Jaspal from Rohtak with us. Good evening, Captain Jaspal. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to ask?
Good evening, Hina Gambhir, and good evening to the doctors, distinguished fellows. I'm a 75-year-old retired army officer, vaccinated, and fully vaccinated. I would seek your approval for the drill that people should follow. A, eat and have the morale and exercise like an officer, army officer. Have the scientific temperament of a doctor. Isolate like a judge. And throw out that rock on a rocking chair with plenty of hot fluids around you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Captain Jaspal, for calling us here on Mirror Now this evening. We have Ravinder Singh joining us from Mansa in Punjab. Good evening, Ravinder Singh. What is it that you would like to ask?
I would like to know, it's been 6 months since I got my COVID injection. So I want to know whether it will work or not against if I got COVID-19 in third wave.
You got your second dose of COVID vaccine 6 months ago, you're saying, Ravinder?
Yes. I got my second dose 6 months ago. So I would like to know whether it works or not if I got a virus against preventing COVID-19.
Okay. Dr. Arun Gupta, will you like to respond? How effective are the vaccines that we are taking? People who got their COVID vaccines, in fact, both the doses, if they were completed, say 6 or 7 months ago. So how safe they are today against Omicron?
I think first you must understand when we give a vaccine, certain vaccines have a tendency to decrease its efficacy after certain times. That has been very well known for most of the vaccines for so many decades. Now this vaccine, which we give 2 doses in India, whether it's Covaxin or Covishield, various studies have shown their effect to last for 3 months to 9 months. So some studies have shown that effect decreases almost after 3 months. Some has said almost up to 9 months. So it's not very certain how much long it is there to protect you. But for like government guideline, they have taken a safe bet around 9 months to give the booster doses. Now this 9 month is both a like scientific way or maybe logistic point of view. As a scientific point of view, I would have preferred it maybe 6 months after the second dose. Or maybe government have their own logistics and availability issues, something. So they have decided to give around 9 months after the second dose. So as far as you have taken it 6 months back, so you are almost at around the cusp of that area. So whenever your booster dose is due, please go and have a booster dose. I don't think it's very easy for me to say whether you're totally safe or not. But still, whether you are vaccinated, have got a second booster dose or not, other behavior, COVID appropriate behavior has to be followed. That is as good as getting the vaccination.
Okay, so even if you're fully vaccinated, COVID-appropriate behavior is something that you need to follow. I appreciate all of you, gentlemen, for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now and answering the queries that were raised by our viewers, answering all our questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Heading into another very, very short break. Stay with us.